It's just the two of us today. Dr. Dan is
Where is
off
he?
saving the world again, probably
Oh, he's
rescuing
writing that fantasy
or
baseball
rescuing
book.
puppies from a burning building. He's always doing all the stuff that makes him a hero. So you're stuck with us. I'm Casey Scheinbold, as always, joined by the prolific prognosticator, Ross the Boss. Ross, how you doing today?
It's good.
How's
It's
La La
cloudy.
Land?
It's cloudy here in La La Land today. It's kind of in the 60s. It's not. It's kind of like June bloom in April. It's very. It's not. It's not sunny California today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually finally starting to get a little bit nicer here on the East Coast. So we're happy about that. I saw the Reds, your Reds just placed Encarnacion Strand on the IL. What's going on with him?
Oh, I'm shocked. Yeah, Strand's hurt. That name is like the longest name in like baseball history. Like to have it back in your jersey, Encarnacion Strand. I mean, couldn't you just pick one last name? Does he have to have both on there?
You can blame his parents. Lower back inflammation sounds bad.
Any lower back injury is not good. Yeah, they brought up your guy. What's his name? That third baseman that the Reds had last year that they bring up.
You're blanking on the name. Noelvi Marte.
Yeah, Marte.
Hey, I think he's a speculative ad just because the potential is there to be dynamic. I just don't know how much playing time he's going to get.
Oh, he'll play. Don't worry.
Noelvi, actually, that's a perfect segue. If you noticed our cover today, Ross, I wanted to talk about how to value prospects. Anybody who's watched this show, Ross, you know me well. No, I'm kind of I get really excited about prospects. I tend to focus on them more than most people. But just because I focus on them doesn't mean I don't appropriately value them. Mostly on this show, we talk about redraft league values, not dynasty and keeper. That changes the value certainly of prospects. But how do you look at prospects when it comes to redraft leagues?
The whole thing about prospects is this, and a good example I'll give you is Roman Anthony of the Red Sox. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, great talent, has a great future in front of him. But the problem is the players in front of him. You got Duran. You got some monster players in front of him that are not going to lose their jobs.
Right.
So, like, how do the Roman Anthony, Dalton Rushing for the Dodgers? I mean, how do these guys get playing time? I mean, it's either they get traded or somebody goes down with an injury, and that's it. I mean, I don't care how good you are. You're not going to sit some of these guys that have huge contracts for some rookie to come up and play. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's certainly part of it.
It's like, okay, some of the big teams, their prospects won't see the light of day. Okay, in all seriousness, they won't.
Yeah.
But the smaller markets and the teams that not expect to do that well, that's where the guys can get some playing time, and those are the prospects you kind of want to. If you're going to pick, if it's just a redraft league, and you want some of those rookies that when they come up, you want to be on them early. I mean, that's what you do.
Yeah, and the thing I look at, I tend to be one, and I'm able to admit this about myself. I tend to get too excited about prospects because
you do.
And one of the things that's important when it comes to being successful as a fantasy manager, and we talk about this every year, is knowing your strengths and weaknesses, right? Knowing where your own soft targets are. And mine, I'm an ageist. The younger the player with a lot of hype, the more excited I am. And I tend to pass up on consistent producers who are 28, 29, 30, because I want the 21-year-old lottery ticket who might be the next, Mike Trout. But what is important to remember, especially in redraft leagues, there are not a lot of Albert Pujols. There are not a lot of these hyped prospects who come up that first year and just crush the ball, right? I mean, if you remember, I think he hit 37 home runs his rookie year, over 300, and he was just a machine. Bobby Witt's another one who came up right away. But more often or not, you get stuck with the Jackson Holiday, who was the number one prospect last year. And what happened? He got sent back down because he struck out.
And this year, he was over 17 until last night. He had a grand slam.
Your Arizona State boy, Spencer Torkelson, was the number one pick of the draft. This is his third year in the league. The first 2 years, he was terrible as the number one prospect.
He was up and down in the minors, 100%.
Even the famous Michael Trout, his first year in the majors was awful. And so what is important to remember as more often than not, there's a lot more examples of people who struggle, Jerks and Profar, these number one prospects who come up who don't live up to the hype, than there are ones who are successful. And so it becomes really important to kind of manage your expectations and take an Anthony Santander, somebody who might not be as sexy or as exciting, but is an established producer. Teoscar Hernandez is another big name who now he's popular, but last year people weren't sure about him, and the Jackson Holidays of the world were drafted above him. And so I put Roman Anthony on the cover because he's the number one prospect in baseball, and they expect him to be called up. And everybody anticipates that he is going to be good. But is he going to be good right away? I don't think the odds are in your favor. Well, yeah, that's
outside field.
Look, it's we're 20 games into the season?
Yeah.
Something like that. Somebody's going to get hurt. There's always somebody who gets hurt.
I get it.
And so injuries is what typically opens the door for these kids, unless like Nick Kurtz in Oakland, even though Soderstrom's leading the league in homers and is a revelation, Kurtz has proven there is absolutely no reason for him to be in the minor leagues. He's just ripping the cover off the ball every time it's thrown at him, whereas Brent Rooker is struggling. So you'll see somebody like Kurtz will probably get called up just because he has nothing left to prove. But more often than not, these guys get called up and they struggle. And so don't use your waiver wire budget. Don't, give up somebody who is going to consistently produce for you, like a Marcell Ozuna, somebody like that, who isn't as exciting to look into these prospects. I love prospects. In the waiver wire show, I always have a prospect or two that I like to throw out there. I spend more time reading about them than my actual team, but I'm looking at them in keeper and dynasty leagues because that's where it's much different. So Ross, we're about 20 games into the season. As we said, is this the point where you can start looking at your roster and realizing where the holes are, not only position wise, but also statistically where you're going to struggle?
Yeah. I mean, there's guys that struggle in April regardless. I mean, you could have, there's guys that are hitting 100 and guys that are hitting 400. So,
yeah,
it's just balances, and those guys hitting 100 are going to start hitting better. And the guys hitting 400 are going to start hitting worse. So,
yeah, obviously it's,
all that being said, I mean, if there's somebody in the middle that you think is not producing and you want to pick up somebody else that's a little more flashy and is having a better season, yeah, go for it, but don't get rid of your all-stars or your top 3 picks in the draft. Don't do something stupid. But if there's some outfielder that's mediocre, say like Ian Happ, he's kind of like middle of the road type outfielder. He's not going to hurt you. He's not going to help you that much, but he's okay. And let's say there's an outfielder, let's say Tommy Edman with the Dodgers. I'm not a Dodger. As you know, I despise the Dodgers, but Tommy Edman is probably having the best offensive year of any Dodger, even better than Ohtani. It's pretty close. And but I mean, if Tommy Edman's available, I mean, it's a good fun pickup. I mean, like you and I say, you got to be active every day in fantasy baseball. Football, not. But baseball, you got to look at your team every day. Stuff happens. I mean, look at the Chicago Cubs third baseman, Shaw. He's back in the minors. I mean, they
oh, I know. He's my Terp.
Yeah. So, stuff like that. Stuff, another player, Bregman is on, he's on paternity leave right now. He's not pregnant. His wife is. I don't know if you knew that. But, so there's stuff that happens every day in baseball. I'm just giving examples. And you got to change your roster. I mean, you can't leave Bregman on your starting this week because he could be out for 3 or 4 games at least. Yeah.
Obviously, unlike fantasy football, which is 18 weeks, 17 weeks, where you only have to set your lineup really once a week, daily fantasy baseball is a grind. And you can have a couple days where you just get too busy doing something else and all of a sudden your lineup is atrocious and you've dropped 6 or 7 points, certainly early in the season. And so, yeah, I agree with you. It's important to stay
Every
on
day.
top of your rosters.
Yeah, first thing in the morning, you should go on the computer and look at your team, decide who's starting, and if you're really responsible, you should look at tomorrow's games and make sure that you have the right pitchers in there, because just in case if you forget, like I do sometimes, or
Yeah.
get busy, at least you're okay for the next day. I mean, it's just a safety valve that I like to use, because sometimes I do forget, or I have something going on and I totally forget about my fantasy stuff. But yeah, for baseball, like you said, it is a grind. It's every day, and players come off the DL, like Spencer Strider yesterday came off the DL.
Yeah, he looked good, didn't he?
He looked good, and good pitcher. His velocity was good. Everything was good. He didn't get the win though, but he did look good. And then look at Clayton Kershaw. He pitched in Oklahoma yesterday.
Did he? How did he do?
He pitched great. He pitched really well. He pitched 5 innings. I think he gave up 1 run maybe and a bunch of Ks. Kershaw looked good. I saw the highlights. I mean, he'll be back in the majors probably by next week. The Dodgers have some injuries already with their pitching staff. So, they'll be happy to get Kershaw back. But those are just examples of people like, Kershaw's available in your league. Maybe you should pick him up. I wouldn't, but some people, if they need some starting pitching, it's not a bad idea. But I despise the Dodgers, so I will never do that. But it's still not a bad idea to pick up a Clayton Kershaw, who, Hall of Famer, who I wish would retire, as I discussed. Him and Max Scherzer, I wish they both would retire at the same time. I'm so sick of those guys. If I'm being direct to you enough today, Casey, yes or no?
You are. I like it. I always like you are always strong in your beliefs and resolute in your opinions. I appreciate that.
I'm wearing my Miami Heat shirt today.
How are they do? Are they in the playoffs?
They're in the what's it called? They won last night.
Was it a play-in game?
Yeah, they had a play-in game against Atlanta and they whooped them.
I don't even understand how the NBA works anymore. I'm not an NBA guy. All right, I'm going to name some struggling players, and I want you to tell me whether you would drop them, wait, or trade for them.
And today's the 17th, right? So April 17th. So we're okay.
Today is 4/17.
Well, Casey, just I think, and if you want to come, I'll invite you. I think I'm going to go to Cincinnati for the Yankee Cincinnati series.
When's that?
June 22nd, 23rd, 24th, or around there, like that week of June.
Actually, that'd be a lot of fun. If you're going, I will definitely look into it.
My friend runs the Louisville Slugger, like Louisville Bats. They have their factory in Louisville.
Are you going to go get a torpedo bat?
But I'm going to get a private tour, which I'm excited about.
That's pretty awesome.
Cool. It'd be great if Vlad met me there. That'd be the best.
All right. Player number 1.
Yeah.
Francisco Lindor.
First of all, he was named captain for the Puerto Rican team, right? Yesterday or today?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Lindor's a stud. I don't care what his stats are right now. He steals, he hits home runs, and he bats for average.
He's currently batting .239 with only 1 home run and 2 stolen bases.
Okay, by June he's going to have. He's going to be on the All-Star team by June. So
you would, if you have him, practice patience. If you don't have him, trade for him.
Patience. Don't trade him. You won't get anything for him.
No, trade for him.
If you could trade for him, great. If you're that smart, you can get him, great. If the owner is getting frustrated, that's a great thing. But test the water. See if the owner will budge. You never know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look at that lineup. He's hitting with Juan Soto and Pete Alonso.
He started slow last year too, I think.
I think he did, actually.
He started slow last year. So it could be a good time to trade for him. It's a good idea.
Yeah, and across his 11-year career, he's always been worst. His worst month has always been April. So that's important to remember. Okay, Dylan Cease, San Diego Padres, currently a 6.64 ERA with a 1.52 WHIP. But he hits striking out more than a batter an inning.
Yeah, I've never been a big Dylan Cease guy. I always thought he's kind of overrated.
Okay.
When he's with the White Sox, not a huge fan. Um, I would not trade for him. I wouldn't want him on my team. The Padres are they still undefeated at home? I mean, have they lost yet?
I think so. I think they are.
When
Yeah.
they're in first place. I mean, I like the Friars. I hope they win the West. That's how much I hate the Dodgers.
So you're on the fence. You would not.
I'm not a Cease guy. I would not want him on my team. And for me, it's just he's valued too high. That's the problem I have with him.
All right. I respect that.
There you go.
All right. The newest Canuck, Anthony Santander, signed a $92 million contract to join the Toronto Blue Jays. He's currently hitting .216 with only 2 home runs.
Yeah. He's going to pick it up. Great hitter.
Great ballpark.
When it gets a little hotter in Toronto, the ball's going to be flying out of there. They even brought the fences in. So, yes, I don't give up on him. I would trade for him. I think he's going to have a monster year still. And I think he'll probably come close to 40 home runs. Okay.
How about the veteran second baseman, Marcus Semien? He's only batting .127 on the season with a home run.
All that. I have him in a lot of my leagues. I jumped up and down about him before the season. I thought he would really have a great season this year. I have not given up on him. For him, it's a good time to trade for him. I mean, seriously.
See, and I'm the opposite. I think he's 34 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a terrible. His underlying metrics with hard hit balls, barrel rates, ground balls are all at the worst of his career. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's going to regress it's going to go up just by the fact of regression towards the mean. But if he bats over 220 this year, I'll be amazed. So he's one I would, even with, I'm not looking for him at all.
I think he's going to bat 280, 290. He'll have 30 stolen bases, and he'll probably have around 30 home runs.
All right. Trivia.
Yeah, go.
Who's the most dropped player that was selected in the top 25 on average of every draft so far this year?
Well, I know it's not Corbin Carroll. He's been hitting the cover off the ball.
No, it's not. But he shares a name with him.
Juan Soto? No,
he shares a name with Corbin Carroll.
Clay Carroll of this. I'm just kidding.
He plays on the same team, and he's a pitcher. Corbin Burns.
Corbin, wow.
He's dropped in 3% of leagues already.
Wow.
For his start to the season.
That's crazy.
He has a 5.28 ERA, a 1.57 WHIP, and less than a strikeout per inning currently.
Yeah.
Now he's in a new league. He's in a new on a new team.
Those owners who dropped him should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, we're 2 weeks in. I mean, he had a couple bad starts. Look at Nola yesterday. He got railed. He got rocked.
And he started bad last year too.
Nola got destroyed. That was his worst outing ever. So just give it a little time. Like Corbin Burns is.
Yeah, he's done it in too many. I mean, he did it in Milwaukee. That was a hitter's park. He did it in Camden Yards. He'll figure it out in the desert, but you're going to have to ride the rough beginning with him. I would certainly try to get him if it's a frustrated owner, and not deal him at his current value based on his performance.
I didn't trade him in my leagues. I had Jack Flaherty.
Yeah.
And I traded him for Gallon of milk for Zach Gallen. I call him Gallon of Milk.
Yep.
I traded, and I got Zach Gallen, and I traded with Ray. I just felt I just like Zach Gallen. I always liked him better than Flattery. Even though Flattery's a California kid, but who do you think got the better of the deal, me or the guy that got Flattery?
Flaherty for who?
Zach Gallen.
I like Zach Gallen better. Flaherty, he had a resurgence last year. Detroit is certainly a good place for him, but Zach Gallen to me is a top 15 or 16 pitcher. So I'm a fan of yours.
Got it. Okay.
All right. The next guy I'm picking is the guy who I would make my top trade target if I could, because the value you can get him, I just think it makes it worth it. And that's Chris Sale in Atlanta. Chris Sale currently has a 6.63 ERA with a 1.53 WHIP and no wins on the season. I feel like his value is as low as it could possibly go, and I still believe in him. He's the defending Cy Young winner, for crying out loud.
I agree with you 100%. Atlanta, just everybody has started horribly there. They're pitching.
Well, and the other thing people don't realize about Chris Sale is he's had 4 starts: the Padres, the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Rays. Like, that's just a wrecking ball of lineups that he's had to face out of the gate.
Horrible.
And his velocity is starting to climb up again. I just think he's ripe for a turnaround. And I guess from a strategy perspective, what we're trying to say here is try to find these guys who you think are going to turn it around, who have maybe statistics that other people aren't aware of. I talked about the barrel rate or the hard hit rate with Marcus Semien. I talked about his velocity and who he faced with Chris Sale. People don't think about that a lot. Certainly the casual fantasy player, they just see a +6 ERA, a +1.5 whip, and they think this is the Chris Sale of Boston, because he was terrible his last few years in Boston. And so you might be able to get him for a steal, and we're at that stage of the season to me, 20 games in. I'm not ready to blow up my roster, but I'm looking at guys where frustrated owners might be looking to.
I like Lindor. I know you don't like Semien, but I do like Semien a lot. I think Sale's a good buy low guy right now. I'm on the same page as you. I think there's
and I feel the same way about another one of your favorite players, and that's Corey Seager. You're a huge Corey Seager guy. Dan and I tend to stay away from him because he doesn't have any of the running or stolen base potential that you see with a lot of shortstops. But
right.
The guy is one of the sweetest swings in baseball. You watch him play, and for his career, his OPS, on base plus slugging, for those of you who don't understand what that means, is 95 points lower in April than it is in every other month. He has a 761 career OPS in April, which means he's not good in April. And then once the weather gets a little warmer, once his hips and his back loosen up, because this is a guy who's had a lot of hips and back issues, he starts swinging a hot bat and he can pile it on quick. So he's another one who I think you can target.
Yeah, I mean, again, he'll be fine, and it's probably a good idea to get him now before later, because he'll be worth a lot more later, obviously.
And so what are the calendars? Well, by the way, before I go on, to all of those who you celebrate, happy Passover, Ross.
Happy Pesach.
Happy Pesach to you, and to all of those who are going to be celebrating this weekend. I hope you have an enjoyable Easter as well. But
I got an update from the White Sox. They're playing the Athletics today in Chicago in Chi-Town. Your boy Tyler Sandstrom, 9th home run today.
Soderstrom is just raking again, huh?
And then your guy Larry Butler hit his 2nd home run today.
Oh, good.
And the A's are up 5-0 against the great White Sox team. And your boy J.P. Sears pitched 6 strong innings. So
I wouldn't call him my boy, but
okay, fine.
I'm happy for him. Did Corbin Carroll hit another home run today?
Corbin Carroll, he's been on fire too.
1 for 5 with an RBI. He didn't have a great game.
Yeah, so Kershaw 3 scoreless innings in the first AAA rehab start. That's not bad. No. And AJ Puck got another save for the Diamondbacks. So for those Justin Martinez owners, it looks like he is no longer the closer. So you might want to start trying to figure out if you can add a closer. The Phillies are winning 3-1. Phillies are up. They look good.
They scored 3 in the bottom of the first.
Yeah.
Kyle Schwarber with a couple RBIs. Nick Castellanos with an RBI. Wow. They got all 3 runs without an out being recorded yet.
And the Pirates won 1-0. Who pitched for the Pirates today again? It was
Andrew Heaney, whatever his name is. 7 1/3, scoreless. Trevor Williams pitched well, 5 innings and 1 run ball, but his offense didn't show up.
Yeah.
O'Neal Cruz with another home run, his fourth. That's my boy. He's now a center fielder, though. I liked him at shortstop. Seeing somebody that big and lanky at shortstop was fun to see. It's like seeing Kevin Durant play point guard.
I like it too.
All right, Ross. Anything else before we go and celebrate our holidays and enjoy this beautiful weather?
Nothing else. I just wanted to update on some of the scores and what's going on. And then just looking like any big baseball news. I think we hit everything.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, for those of you who are interested, the White Sox called up their catcher prospect Jose Caro, or Milwaukee did. I'm sorry. So I don't know how much Jefferson Caro. I'm not sure how much play he's going to get, but he's been called up. So the Yankees brought Clark Schmidt off the DL. He pitched the other night. So there's some players returning from injury. Some call-ups are starting to happen. Hopefully Jack Leiter and Pablo Lopez come off the IL soon as well.
We'll see. So, and I think we discussed it before. Ronaldo Acuna is starting to do some baseball activities and should get a rehab assignment in the next couple of days.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not a betting man and we're not encouraging you to wager here, but I bet you're getting pretty good odds right now to pick the Braves to win the East. And once they get Acuna back and Strider's healthy and those bats start warming up and Chris Sale is pitching better, they can make up a lot of ground in a hurry. That might be worth a flyer to me.
We'll talk to Dr. Van Rantner taking one of his private jets to Vegas to make that bet.
There you go. All right, Ross. Well, thank you again for joining me. Next week, we're here Tuesday, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern for our waiver wire show, where Ross and I will give you the top names to add to your roster to replace some of those struggling players or those poor draft decisions that you may have made. And then Thursday, ideally, Dr. Dan will be back with us again for another strategy show. Pretty soon, we're going to have to talk the NFL draft. That's coming up in 11 days, I think, something like that. I'll have to see how my Giants screw up that draft. I'm sure they'll do something epic. But hey, it's an exciting time for fantasy sports. Ross, take care of yourself. Thank you again for the knowledge, and I will see you next week.